You have to get up early if you want to ski the area in a day. The sun was just creeping over the mountaintops as we set off from the first lift in Léger at the extreme western end. At the top, we were greeted by the first of many spectacular views we were to see later that day, with Mont Blanc dominating the horizon. But we didn't have too much time to admire the scenery, as we were aiming to reach Châtel by the end of the day. There were quite a few kilometres and many lifts ahead of us. Neighbouring Morzine was the first port of call, and we sped down one of the area's many tree-lined paths. The resort itself is increasingly popular with the British and has expanded much in recent years, but it still seems to retain its village feel and its charm. It was skis off and a short walk to a lift on the other side of town that would take us up to Avoriaz. It's the highest resort in the Port du Soleil and perhaps the best known one too. It has the steepest slopes and the biggest area of terrain. It's famous for its fun parks and kickers that are liberally distributed around the resort. It's popular with snowboarders and was one of the first resorts in the Alps to build jumps, and it actively encouraged snowboarders when many other resorts were turning up their collective noses at this new way to enjoy the snow. But as for its architecture, well, people seem to either love it or loathe it. The first problem on a ski safari around the Port du Soleil is not getting lost. Sometimes it's easy knowing which way to go, while others it's a bit more confusing. Overall though, it is fairly simple and there's good signposting, though there's a lot of double checking with the piste map. Next it was down to Les Croisettes with its new apartment blocks, built in a slightly more traditional style than the buildings of Avoriaz.
Well, it's great fun skiing around as many resorts pretty much as you can in the day. I think we've done about 5 so far, but I've rather lost count. You do have to keep looking at the piste map to make sure you don't take a wrong turning, because that can obviously spell disaster. But it is pretty well signposted here in the Port du Soleil. The only downside is, as you may be able to see, it's blue sky and there's powder snow. And it's a great shame to have to keep skiing past all this lovely snow just slightly off the piste. But got to keep moving, otherwise won't get there on time.
We were also unable to ski some of the area's more famous runs. This is the Swiss Wall, which, as you can see, quickly becomes a long mogul field and is a route many people like to tick off their list of runs done. We, though, didn't have time for it. We had to press on. Next was the long run down to the picturesque Swiss village of Morzine, where a short bus ride took us across town to a connecting lift. Like many of the resorts we sped through, it seemed worth a longer visit another time. It was mid-afternoon and we were on schedule.
Well, I think we've visited about 8 different resorts now in France and Switzerland. I rather lost count, as I said earlier on, back at 6, but we're approaching the end of the day, and really it's been quite fantastic.
From the slopes above Châtel, we could just about make out Villeneuve down in the Rhône Valley. It's on the eastern shore of Lac Léman. We'd come quite a way. And then, before we knew it, we'd arrived at our destination, the French resort of Châtel. Our legs certainly needed a bit of a rest, and we'd worked up a thirst too, so reward was thoroughly deserved. It had taken us around 6 hours and we'd skied about 75 kilometres, using dozens and dozens of lifts. It had been quite a day, and well worth the effort. The Port du Soleil is an interesting ski area. James Cove, Planet Ski in the Port du Soleil.